everyone, you're watching John FX, and in this video I'll make technical analysis for the coming week. We will look at main pairs and important levels, possible entry points. So I'll share with you my ideas where I will be looking to place my pending orders, buy and sell. And as usual, we have a bit uncertainty in the air. It is still a warnings about coronavirus, and also we found we have Brexit news, so all of these events are affecting the markets. And of course, check out the economical calendar for any news this coming week. So let's start with euro dollar, and I had not that many trades this week, was a little bit lazy for me, but I still had few, and I will tell you about them. So we're starting with euro dollar as usual, and you see where the pair stopped at one of the important levels. So actually I had a sell here from that level. I didn't wait for my usual consolidation. When the market started to fall, I just decided to sell it anyway, because of all the circumstances we found. I was telling you about it, that I'm still expecting euro and pound to go down. So especially after that rally previously it had. And as you can see, euro did drop, and well, the entry points, for example, here I also entered into the trade because this is where I had consolidation at an important level. So, and euro continued the way down. So well, at this moment, when you look at it, you can see we are in a downtrend channel, and this was as one of the expectation that euro dollar will continue the way down inside that channel. So that's pretty much technically this is exactly what is happening. So it's broke out one of the levels here. It had a bit of a pullback and continued away. So right now, once again, quite possibly we'll expect it to go down to this level, okay, right here now, and possible because it is quite right on the bottom. It might have a bit of a consolidation here, and it might have a correction of this drop. So that might have a bit of a correction. Like I'm saying, right now, with all these things happening in the world, you don't know what to expect, what can happen. So that's why with my strategy, once again, I will be waiting for some consolidation here and placing the orders, possibly both directions once again, because it can turn around to have a bit of that correction, and at the same time it might continue the way down. So I presume, I still believe it will, if it will break this level, we still have a little bit of the bottom here, so that could be a stopping point. You see, that could be a little bit of well, it's still enough. So you see, it's about 50 pips. So that's why if it will break, and I will go as usual, get into the trade around 20 pips below, go for 10 pips closing half positions, and the rest I will run by the trailing stop, and hopefully it will continue the way down to the level of the downtrend channel. So that would be one of my scenarios to go for. So that's what I will be waiting for, a little bit to go down here and start consolidation. So that would be the first point. Of course, from here, if it will not go down, if it will turn around, then I will see if it will go back to the previous level. And once again, if it will start to consolidate underneath it or maybe above it, and then so I will be using that as a possible entry point. And then back again to the next level, and we will see, right? So, but at this moment, I would still, my first thought would be, well, again, what the kind of economical news there will be there, so small consolidation and possible continue the way down, or like I say, maybe a bit of a correction and continue the way down. That would be still my view on the euro. So now going to dollar yen. Dollar yen, okay, what is that week? You see, it's actually didn't have a consolidation at the level, so I was hoping it will have a bit of consolidation so I could place my order. So I didn't go for dollar yen at all this week. You see, it's just run away from me, didn't stop anywhere where I would wanted it to, and so okay, I missed it, which again was one of the expectations, right? Remember, I was still telling you, looking for the pair to get to this gap and close it. Remember, I was telling you about the gaps, that it can be closed not straight away. It might take weeks, days, minutes, days, hours, weeks, months. So it's kind of been a while, and that's why I'm still kind of waiting for it to go there. And you can see that still pair does quite smooth movements. It's going up and down, a bit up, and so from here now I would presume it might go back down again. right? So, and maybe it will start to consolidate in here and getting a little bit more narrow into this area. So again, depends what the news is going to be, right? There is this news changing everything, the coronavirus especially news. So this week dollar had more economical news and more positive, so you see it got its strength against euro, against yen. So, but this week might be again back to coronavirus news, and yen might get stronger once again. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to wait for the pair to go back into this area. If it will not go back and start to consolidate above it, so I'll probably will be looking to place in my orders again buy. We'll see, depends here. You see, so we still have enough space to go up. So if it will start to consolidate above it, so if it will go inside, that would be a bit better, because a nicer area, and I used it before for placing a trade. So I would rather to place my pending order buy, for example, from this level, and pending order sell from this one. So if it will, let's say, will smash it once again like I did this week, didn't give me any entry points at here, and continue, for example, will have a bit of a correction and go down to this level. So I will wait for some consolidation around here. If it will go next, again around this one, and if it will go jump up, so then I will see if it will start to have a bit of consolidation around this level, and we'll try to break up and finally try to close that gap. So right here, see, and then of course I will be looking at it to see if it's going to have a bit of a stop, slowing down, and this will be the next area to look at it. So that's my view on dollar yen. Now Australian dollar. Like I was saying once again, that Australian dollar had the news, economical news, and you see it had helped it a little bit to have a recovery, have a bit of a correction. Like I was telling you, we needed a correction, didn't have it much, and so finally it had the moment to have a bit of correction. But once again, you see where it started to consolidate exactly at one of the levels. You can see, you don't believe in the levels, but look at this. It stopped at the level, it had a consolidation, jumped up on top of the level, and started to have this little, give us a little bit of the channel on the top of it. You see, if you go on a smaller time frame, I'm showing you a bigger time frame, so you have a bigger picture of overall what's happening. You can see where it started. This is what you take. Okay, so that's where the order sell, pending sell order from exactly the level. So you go 20 pips below. Here is the sell. And then you go, you take 10 pips, and then you continue with the rest. You see, it's like 60 pips you could have, well, minus 20, about 40 pips you could have caged on this movement. So that's pretty much, you see, like we had it like previously here, it was there before. And so what is it now? Influenced by the news from China. So I would think that possibly it will continue the way down now. Well, I would still hopefully expect a little bit of consolidation around here for me to try to go into the trade. Of course, technically, it is right quite on the bottom, like very low. Look at this, it's been here and went down further. And on the bigger time frames, if you have a look, we are quite on the bottom, right? There is another bottom, of course. So I see with all the news, it might continue the way down to the next level. So now area, you see, it's plus minus. I placed this area because it's very complicated here. You can have a little bit lower, a little bit higher. So if we're using the bottoms of the candles, so it's roughly would be around here. I mean, it's not all the way might go down straight away, like again, like slow break it down, maybe have a correction and continue down again. So I quite see with all this news, if there will be no ease of news from China, that I see Australian dollar can go all the way down. So that's why with the Australian dollar, your eyes on coronavirus news, what is going on out there. And if there will be a slightly positive news, then Australians should start to recover. But at this moment, there are no news like this. So I would presume that's why I would see. I mean, it's very risky here, for example, because it's right in the bottom, and then if it will turn around from here, it might not come back to this area for a long time. So that's why if you're trading without the stops, you have to be very careful. So I think if I will be placing my orders this week for Australian dollar, then I will be using the stops this time, because maybe not using the stops when I will be buying it, if it will trigger me, right? If it will trigger one of my orders, because I will be doing on the distances as usual, and if it will trigger me on the buy order, I might just keep it running. But like I'm saying, depends on the size of the account. If you have a very small account, it could be very risky. So the bigger accounts, of course, money management, you can hold it, right? So you can hold on, and if you will get into the trade for buy, for example, then I might not place the stop. But if it will go on the way down, and the sell, I might go with the stop just in case it might be false breakout and not enough to get out from the trade, and then it could turn around. So it can turn around any moment, like I'm saying. It will depend on the news. But at this moment, I see with the news events continue the way down. But like I say, you see here what I was trying to show you, and started to talk too much. It might be double bottom here. So you see, it might turn around and create a double bottom. So quite easily can do so. Stuck a little bit into this. You see, we have from the previous, maybe it will just decided to sit in this area without breaking down too much, finally at some point to turn around. But so that's why I'm saying it could be a risk that it might just break down and come back. And so that's why you need to be very careful. So with Australian dollar at this point. Okay, so dollar Canadian. Also, well, here we go. I had a bit of the trade. So where I showed you the area, so I got a small trade, and then it was just quite messy here, so I didn't go for anything anymore. And I think at this moment I'll just wait for it to, let's just see how much this. I still have quite actually good run, another 70 pips to get to the next level. So maybe possibly I will actually place the order from. You see, it has a bit of the channel, a bit wide, like a little bit too wide. So. If there will be no opportunities with the other pairs, then I'll look at it. But at this moment, it's just like so messy and very, very big. I might just wait for it to finish the move because it might have a bit of a recovery. So possibly if it will have a recovery, I will just see if it will go back to this area again, or maybe it will just stuck on top of it. And then we will see what to do, because at this moment, I don't see an entry. I still can see it's keep going. Keeping the strength, but it might get a quite strong resistance here. You see, there is lots of tops around this area, so that's why it might not reach this. Might quite easily be stopped around here. So, and then turn around for correction, because, well, it needs a bit of a correction, right? So that's why I would have expected a possible correction. So if it will not jump straight, because if it will go straight up there, around here, I would wait for consolidation. And of course, from here, I would see a bit of a correction more from that somewhere area. Again, with the news, right? Because we have oil dropping, and so Canadian drop. And this week there will be some news about something to do with oil. So just check out the calendar. I don't trade oil very often. It's very new to me again, and so that's why just check it out. There could be some movements, and if the prices will go up, so that might be the time for a dollar Canadian to have a correction, right? So that's why we'll see where it start to consolidate. Maybe it will start to consolidate around this area, so then it will be opportunity. But it would be really great if it will just get to here, and from here, with the news for oil, and will start to go down just in like in our technical view, technical look. It would be a very good picture with, and good area to sell it. So that's my view on dollar Canadian. So now we're going to gold. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart. This is our gold. I had a trade here on the gold. You see, again, it didn't start to consolidate. It just dropped straight away. And then I just used my level here to place the order sell. And this is where I sold, and just went down here and decided not to continue the way. So it got a support. You see, it's pretty much, again, from level. It didn't stop at this level, went to the next level, didn't break it, and you see reversed and went back up. So now I'm waiting for some consolidation around this area, which could be also good if it will not have movements on Monday. So this is where I will be looking at placing my orders. And then once again, if it will go up, then I have next level. So I used the tops, the previous one big top, and another smaller one. So it might have create a triangle. You see, so first I thought maybe it will have a double top. Now it could quite possibly go inside this triangle-ish looking pattern, possibly. Okay, so I see as one of the opportunities. That's why here placing the orders, so possibly will go up, maybe have some consolidation, or might not, maybe jump up or jump down and back in the same area. So it might sit in here. I see with gold because also it has this mixed news with coronavirus and stronger American dollar news, so that's why gold just can't pick up the trend. Okay, let's say it that way. It just doesn't won't pick up, and I see it might stuck in the pattern before it will make another big move, like the move like this, right? That's the big move we had. But now with all this news, so that's why I expect. So from here, of course, it might just go down because it's, you saw in the bigger picture, it's not very symmetrical if it will continue the way up. So a bit, Forex likes a bit of symmetry. The technical is what I noticed. So I would presume more symmetrical. It will just consolidate here, drop down, and then go, and actually will be up around here somewhere. So a little bit further from that point, but you never know. So technically it looks more that way, but we will see. So here would be my point, around here. So quite possibly any direction it can go from here, then using the same levels here and the same level here. So that's pretty much with gold. Euro pound, I didn't go for the trade, even though what we have on the 4-hour charts, a bit smaller picture. You see, it's just was here and then just jumped up back in the same area. Didn't make any other movements because you saw how pound was moving. We're going to it in a minute, and so I decided to just stay away. But to see in the bigger time frame, once again, it looks like a possible creating a bit of a triangle, and quite possibly, well, here's this, the situation is if pound will continue the way down, so the euro will go up, which is against pound, right? So that's what I still more towards that pound still needs to go drop a little bit more with all this uncertainty. But the news are all mixed, and that's why euro pound might still stuck in this area for some time. So that's why I don't know if I want to go for this trades in here, because yeah, it's just not giving me a good channels like here. It didn't give me any good entry points. So let's just I'm gonna leave it for now, I think. So yeah, and just see what we have with pound. Okay, so pound is more volatile, of course, because of all this events. So this is where we finished the week, right? So I wrote to you that possibly gaps, opening with the gaps, and quite was correct. Pound pairs opened with gaps, but they were very small. Remember, I made the video about trading the gaps where I said I will not go for small gaps like 20 pips, 30 pips, right? So you need a bigger gap, at least like 50 pips and more the better. And so you wouldn't go for this trade anyway. You see, it's a very small. So when you notice when the market opened with this gap, you see it's a 20 pip only gap. So with the spread, it probably would fill in half of the gap with the spread. So that's why don't go for smaller gaps. So that's it. And the same, remember I was telling you my strategy, how I place order here. So if it would be like whatever gap you place order here, you're 20 pips above, this is where the entry point, right? So if it's already whole gap, you don't go for it. So we are not using it. So which is the, okay, so it just dropped down. As one of the expectation, again, as I said, after such a big movement, it's broke out from the triangle. So expectation was that it should have a pullback. And then I was expecting, okay, if the pullback would have consolidation here, then it could have continued the way up. So which it didn't happen. It actually continued dropping. One of my main expectations, as I was saying, as I see, pound has to drop. I don't understand why it's not dropping. So finally, it's on its way where it should be. And I had a sell here. Then I had from this level I was selling again, and again selling again. So right now, the mixed news. I see quite possibly still be head and shoulders. So I would say possibly it will continue the way down here and then start to consolidate, well, at any whatever levels, unless there's some like strong news and maybe it will drop even more. But this moment it's a little bit mixture of the news between what Boris Johnson saying with the relation between EU and the UK, and also economical numbers are slightly good for pound. So that's why it's like this kind of type of news is still might, just as I expecting a possibly having a up downs. So it could go in a side for a while, right? So like this shoulder, for example. So yes, it might go down here, will not break it, and start to sit in this area. So that was my previous expectation when we were still around here. That's what I was saying. I still would see it possibly sit in this area for a while, except it decided to jump up. But still, you see that jump, it's broke, but it didn't the pullback was not a pullback. It just was going back down. So, but you know, anything can happen. So at this moment, I'm still placing the order sell for pound, and right now there is no entry point, so there is no way to get into here because at any moment it can turn around, so it might not go to this level. So now it's just a waiting time. Okay, so if you miss the entry point, it's a waiting time. So either to go in this area or to have a recovery, go back to this level. So any of those levels, then I will be looking for the entry points. Okay, so that's how I'm looking at it. We found dollar. Pound yen, once again, I had some good trades with it, and also selling. I was only looking to sell. And so where do we have, I think we had a bit of the gap opening, which is also was not very big, so I didn't go for it. Okay, where do we have it? Do we have it? This is our week. Well, you can't see it in the 4-hour chart, so maybe we didn't have a gap around here. So anyway, you see that's our week. Okay, and so that's the consolidation. Remember, I was telling you I'm using exactly the same levels, and it had a consolidation. This is where I had the sell. You see, from the level I sold here, then it went down. I didn't wait for the consolidation. You see, I sold. It was a very small trade. You see, it's how it turned around. That's why I'm always saying it's better not to do this way. It's better just to wait for a bit slowing down, because you see, it's broke, get me into the trade, and started to have a bit of consolidation underneath the level, and then it's turned around to see for correction. I went out with the profit anyway, but the small one, okay, with just 10 pips, and the rest of it was closed with the break even. And so then it went up. I was still waiting. I didn't want to buy. And then it started to consolidate a little bit again at the next level. So a little bit lower. This time it was a little bit higher. Here it was a little bit low, but in the same area, right? So I had another sell again. So, and now, once again, it's broke. Just like it was here, it might continue the way down to the next level, but I still, you see, I marked the area, so I'll just still see with the open the market. I don't know, maybe it will be gaps again, maybe we will not. Then I have consolidation here, once again, and then I will be looking placing orders again, right? And still I'll looking for sell, especially with pound yen, because yen is related with the coronavirus news, so I think that possibly pound against yen will continue dropping, okay? And to the next level, but not 100%, right, as usual, possibly. So that's the first area, and then we will see if it will go down here. Then what is it going to do? Consolidate, or it will try to break it. It's a quite strong level, so I would think if it will break it nicely, then it can have a really good move down to the next level. But it's, I mean, it's not going to happen straight away like it was here. It needs to be like some really strong news, but you never know, maybe. But I would see it might still have a bit of the same head and shoulders. So if it will break down, then it might just sit in here, up, down, and then it will decide where it wants to go. But still, I still would see a little bit more down way. But that's my view on this coming week, guys. So I hope you liked the video. Of course, don't forget to press the bell button so you will not miss any new videos. And if you like, don't forget to subscribe also, like, and read in the description if you are interested in the EA which I'm using, so how you can have it too. So thanks for watching, and happy trading, everyone. Bye.